What's up, guys? Welcome to the 6th edition of Ring Chasers post-Miami Dolphins game. We'll look at the Jets tonight. Joined by Corey Walsh. Corey, how you doing, my man?
As good as we can after a loss,
Yeah, we've had a few days to shake it off. We're on to New York, though. We're on to the Jets. Also, we want to preface this. We were talking before the show about the intro video. Cam Newton is in the intro. I'm wearing a Tom Brady jersey. These are just different eras of Patriot football, and we're trying to remember them all. That's what I came up with while the intro was playing.
That was a great reasoning for it. We just like to honor Patriots history. We're historians.
Yeah, honor the great quarterbacks, Tom Brady and Cam Newton of Patriots football. Also, too, Corey, we didn't think about this. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple right now, you don't even see the intro.
Yeah, this is the one time where I'll say you're not missing much from the intro at this point. You can play whatever you imagine in your head when you hear that theme song.
Yeah, definitely. So we got to get Mac Jones on there for sure. But Corey, take me through your weekend, man. You're sitting there watching the Patriots. What'd you think?
I thought that the offense looked pretty good, honestly. I mean, it took a little while for it to start revving up. But, I can't complain with a lot of scoring drives from the second quarter basically onward. Mac looked pretty crisp. The offense looked exactly what I was imagining from this Patriots offense this year. And outside of the two fumbles, I feel like we really couldn't have asked for a better offensive game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought we were going to win the game. I thought we were going to win and cover. And then when we didn't, that sucked. And now the thing that really sucked, I think, too, Damian Harris, that game wasn't on him. And I think the players tried to say that in the post-game press conference, but a lot of the media was like, have you talked to Damian yet? Have you talked to Damian? Have you talked to Damian? It wasn't his fault. But again, it sucks that it comes down to that, obviously.
Yeah, I felt like it was the game was honestly a little unpatriot-like in the sense that I think we lost just because of the turnovers and the penalties. I feel like the penalties were pretty killer for us overall. We had I think 8 penalties for 88 yards. They were just huge chunk penalties. It wasn't like we were getting little offside stuff that was just making our downs a little harder. I mean, there were situations where Mac was working with 3rd and 10 plus yards. And it was just we weren't going to get big plays to cover for most of those times. Overall, though, I know Bill's just going to make this team. The product we saw today is going to be completely different than the one we see by the end of the season. For better, in my opinion. We might not be an elite team, but we will definitely be a better coached team with a lot less unnecessary penalties.
Yeah, when you go through the box score here, it paints a picture. We should have won this football game. We out first down them. We had 24 first downs. They had 16. We were 11 of 16 on third down. They were 4 of 11. Total plays, we were at 70 plays. We dominated time possession. We had 36 minutes of possession time. Penalty-wise, we had 8 for 84. They had 5 for 28, and we had 2 turnovers. They had 1. There's the game right there. We outran them. We outpassed them. We outplayed them. We had more yards per play. Just could not find a way to win. Fumbles and penalties. And that's what Bill Belichick's teams have been so good, because they take care of the football and they don't get penalized. And we didn't do that on Sunday, and look what happens. Even though you outgain them, you outplay them in every facet of the game, you get that.
Yeah, this was honestly the inverse of what we've normally seen as Patriot fans from week one. Maybe we'll play we'll play worse than the team we're playing, but because of just us being more disciplined, we have the opposing teams have less room for error, and we would usually be the victors of the game that we were the better disciplined team of. Now, in this case, we weren't disciplined and we paid for it. Ironically, against a coach who probably plays similar or coaches similarly to Bill Belichick as anyone, with Brian Flores, a Belichick disciple.
Yeah, definitely. We got a comment here rolling in. Josh is going to have to take the training wheels off because Mac was in rhythm and he would have carved that defense up. I'm not going to sit here and pick on Josh McDaniels. I think he called an excellent game. They're in a position to win the game. You take care of the football. It's the dude's first start. Give him some confidence. Mac Jones was sensational. I look at his stats here. He was 29, 39, 281 yards and a touchdown. Corey, what do you think of this comment here?
I think this offense is if you think this is what the training wheels look like, you should see what Tom Brady's offense looked like for the last 5 years in New England. It was kind of similar. It was dink and dunk. It was the Mac. You don't see many big shots downfield. Mac tried for some shots, but let's not forget that this kid doesn't have a rocket arm or anything. And one of his major issues in college was people felt like he had Chad Pennington syndrome, where he could like get the ball where it needs to be, but it's not going to get there at the speed that will allow receivers to have a little more wiggle room. He can bring the ball to where it needs to go, but it's up to the receivers to kind of create the separation required. Like that one pass with Jacoby Myers where he took one of his big shots, which was basically like any throw above like 20 yards. He kind of threw a touch pass, and I think Jason McCourty was the one defending Myers on that play, and he swatted it down because it was there, but it was so slow that the defender had time to just get in front of it.
Yeah. Now, hey, didn't we bet Jacoby Myers, like our bets, like first Mac Jones touchdown catch? Didn't we say Jacoby Myers, or am I like hallucinating that?
We did, but then it turned out to be Nelson Aguilar, which was just the worst.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we both were like, Nelson, no, probably not.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But anyway, so when you look at this comment here, I think you guys need a real weapon at receiver. I think we got some pretty decent weapons. What do you think of that?
Yeah, a real weapon would imply that we didn't spend top money on two of the probably top 6 tight ends in the NFL with Jonnu and Hunter Henry. Maybe not top 6, probably like top 8. Jonnu, honestly, I do feel like is better than Hunter Henry, but Hunter Henry is like more of a household name in today's game. Also, Jacoby Myers just looked like a typical Patriots slot receiver. If you're saying by a real weapon, like we need like a big X wide receiver like a Julio or DeAndre Hopkins, then yeah, we do need that, I guess. But N'Keal Harry broke his rib or shoulder like forever ago. We haven't had one of those types of receivers in this offense since like Randy Moss. I mean, if you consider Brandon Lloyd or Chad Ochocinco with Tom Brady as an X, then sure. But the Patriots never needed the weapons to make the offense work. It's always been about the scheme more than the players.
Here's the bottom line. Like, in my opinion, we were in a position to win the game. You're on the 11-yard line. You kick a field goal, you win the game. You take care of the ball, you win the game. You don't get penalties, you win the game, right? We can say we need all these pieces, right? But the bottom line is don't commit penalties, don't commit turnovers, and you win the freaking game.
It was like a Patriots blueprint, basically. If we went down and scored on that fourth quarter, it was like the most vintage Patriots offense you were going to have without Tom Brady being back in the fold. I mean, I'm not making these comparisons that Mac's Tom Brady, but that offense looked extremely similar to what we have been seeing for the last like 5 years in New England outside of Cam Newton. Like the past 5 Brady years, it was just dink and dunk / timed routes all over the place. It was like yak after yak, yards after catch, over and over and over. It was just great to see, honestly, because we were seeing with Cam that like there wasn't a ton of that. There wasn't much leading the receiver. It was kind of Cam just darting it off like curl routes all the time and kind of relying on receiver separation that would get tackled almost immediately. Mac at least left a lot of space for these receivers to run, like that James White touch pass on like 3rd and something late in the 3rd quarter. That was like a thing of beauty. I was getting Tom Brady flashbacks from watching that throw.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is like Mac Jones, like he did an exceptional job. We've won games with Tom Brady running this offense. We're running this offense with Mac Jones, and it's working, right? So like, I don't know if we really need to change anything, take shots down the field. The bottom line is Mac Jones is not throwing interception in the preseason or the regular season. He takes care of the football. I don't need deep shots down the field. You're in a position to win the game. Go out and win the game. Don't commit turnovers. Don't commit penalties. I know I was talking before the show about how this isn't on Damian Harris, but the problem is you can't fumble the football on the 11-yard line. That's not the Patriot way.
Yeah, how depressed were you when Ramondre was the one who coughed it up first? I can only imagine you just sobbing.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little upset about that, but again, rookie. There's still no excuse, though. Hold on to the freaking football. But the problem is now, like, Ramondre's fumble is not even in my head because Damian's is when the game's on the line. And I know, like, just playing football, it doesn't come down to one play. You had so many opportunities, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is you still fumbled on the 11-yard line with the game on the line. He got drilled, though, on that play. Like, it was a helmet-to-helmet. Like, I saw it. I was like, oh, shit.
He also got his helmet, like, taken off, like, 3 plays prior.
Yeah, so. He's probably concussed when that happened. All right, I don't know y'all history. I just became a fan because of Mac Jones. I'm mainly a college football fan, but I understand. First of all, roll freaking Tide, baby. We love the Alabama Crimson Tide here in New England. We love Mac Jones. He is my new favorite player. His jersey is coming tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, we appreciate you watching the show, Corey.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones, we're really excited about him up here in New England, honestly.
And Barmore.
Barmore too. Yeah, Barmore too. But I'm more excited about Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is next Tom Brady. I kind of got glimpses of it from the game. Not the next Tom Brady. I can't say that. Listen, I cannot say he's the next Tom Brady, right? But I felt some type of way. Something was running through the blood, Corey, when I saw the dink and dumps and the Tom Brady offense and the efficiency in the passing game and not turning the ball over. I felt some type of way. I know you did too.
Yeah, watching him in the pocket is just like, it was probably the most impressive, unimpressive athletic performances in the pocket I've ever seen. Like, he would just slowly glide up in the pocket, just bending around defensive tackles, like just like a worm in dirt. I was just like, what am I watching right now? This kid does not look remotely athletic, but yet he's somehow squeezing out of these tight pockets and delivering great passes off to like Jacoby Myers or Jonnu Smith off like 4-yard flats. And I'm just like, oh my God, what is this? Because like we were used to last year, Cam Newton was just such a athletic specimen that like if the pocket collapsed at all, he was gone. He was going to bowl. Like, I don't know if you watched the Ravens-Raiders game yesterday, but like when Lamar's pocket was collapsing, he wasn't even like thinking pass anymore. It was like, I'm going. And then he would just run for like 20 yards. And I was like, man, that was like the only positive of watching Cam Newton play last year. And now with Mac Jones, we're not going to see him rip off 10-yard runs or anything. We'll be lucky to see him rip off like a positive net gain if the pocket collapses. But watching him find the open receiver and not really panic under pressure. I think I saw a stat that he was like 8 for 12 while facing pressure on like third down throws. And I was just like, wow, that's something we really need in this offense, especially if you can't be a multi-dimensional quarterback being able to run on the ground and throw in the air.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the Mac Jones diet per se, like he's the kind of quarterback that sports books are going to list at like over under 1.5 yards for the day. He's just that kind of quarterback. I love it, and I think that's what we need here in New England. We don't need Cam Newton right now because he didn't do a damn thing for us, but it was an era of Patriots football we can't forget. The one storyline we got to talk about, Corey, this was kind of like a positive. After Mac Jones throws his first touchdown pass, they're all trying to give him the football. He says, I don't want the football because you know what? That's the first of many touchdowns. The game is not won because of this one touchdown pass, and I don't want the ball. Get it away from me. And that was kind of the big storyline after the game. I think it's an interesting move because if I was a quarterback, I'd probably be like, hey, I want that football. And he's still going to get that football, obviously. But the fact of the matter, in the moment, saying, I don't want the ball because this game's not done yet is pretty freaking cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to pump the brakes on the Brady comparisons just so we spice it up. I'm going to say Mac Jones to me has this kind of Burrow mentality where it's just kind of like, just fuck you guys. I don't really care if like we're down and I scored a touchdown, even if it's my first. It's just he has an edge to him. It's a chippiness. He's like never satisfied. And that's just something I kind of love from a quarterback because, quarterbacks kind of get this, I don't know, like feeling around the league that they're kind of like squishy players, like they're pretty sensitive. They are all super ego filled and they needed their ego pumped all the time in order to validate their value to their teams. And it just seems like Mac is this guy that he really doesn't care unless you win. And if that's what Bill Belichick probably is like having sweet dreams every night, thinking, thank God that I don't have to watch Mac Jones do Funky Friday Instagram videos or like whatever Cam Newton wants to do on his social media. Mac Jones has the worst social media account of all time, and I could not be happier for it. He's all business all the time.
Yeah, that's how you know they're a good quarterback, right? Like Tom Brady's social media didn't get good till he first of all, he didn't even have Twitter till like a year ago, Tom Brady. 2 years ago, right? Instagram 2 years ago. About like when he got social media, it was like a big deal. He doesn't run his social media, so we know that. But the fact of the matter is when Mac Jones' girlfriend has better social media game than him, that means he's probably a good quarterback because he doesn't care about social media. He just gets after it. And I love that. I think that's what we need. We got a comment here again. Just a lady in Alabama is blowing up the comments. Barmore's fun. Mac has a lot to offer and capable of deep shots, but maybe the OC is going to gradually get more responsibility as the season goes on. I love Josh McDaniels. I think he's one of the best OCs in football. Obviously, he could be a head coach if he didn't want to stay in New England. And yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think give more responsibility as the season goes on. If Mac earns respect, he's going to get the respect. He's going to get the shots. Corey, what do you think?
I don't know if it's necessarily that Mac isn't getting the chances from Josh McDaniels. I just don't think the Patriots have those types of players like he had at Alabama. It's like pretty fair statement to say that we don't have 3 first-round talent wide receivers at all times pretty much. But If there were ever going to be deep shots, it was going to be with Aguilar. He's our speed guy. He's our quote-unquote Tyreek Hill type wide receiver. That's the whole reason we brought him in. Bourne and Myers are more of the same thing, where they're just kind of like mid to short level route receivers. You're not going to really expect them to do anything that great. Maybe I would expect maybe bigger shots to like Hunter Henry or Jonnu over the middle from like as the playbook starts to expand. But every year the Patriots playbook kind of expands as the year goes on. You don't really see them showing all their crazy plays in week 1 or 2. Like Bill likes to keep things close to the vest, so I think over time the playbook will expand, but I don't think this is more about Mac not being given the keys to the offense. I think it's just more what the offense is capable of doing.
Yeah, 100%. I will say Alabama is just unfair. So, of course, Mac Jones can hit a wide open receiver at Alabama because you see what they did last year. That's one of the best Alabama teams ever to go through the program there. But it's like this isn't Alabama anymore. Mac doesn't have the weapons, like you said, Corey. I mean, if we had Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith and all that stuff, and then Ruggs or whatever, right? Like we'd be in a lot better shape, but we don't have that. Got another comment here. Well, Mac didn't. He had Smitty, Waddle was hurt till the national championship. Still, okay, Alabama's unfair. That's the bottom line with this conversation. Alabama's unfair, and he doesn't have receivers like that can just run a deep route and beat anyone who they want.
My simple answer would just be there's no bigger skill gap in the NFL. There's no skill gap in the NFL that's comparable to Alabama versus 90% of the opponents they play. Like there's no skill group in the NFL, no matter how great they are, because every player in the NFL is very good. But even the best of the best, like I can't think, like I guess Tampa Bay's wide receivers, I guess comparatively, you'd have to say they'd have to play the Jaguars every week. The Jaguars secondary or Detroit secondary.
You can't compare college football to pro football in any way whatsoever, because the bottom line is when we look at like Division I football, right? So I think 1% of high school athletes, whatever, go on to play Division I football, right? And on top of that, all right, how many go to Power 5 schools? So it's even smaller than that. So you got Power 5 schools playing against, like even Alabama playing against like Vanderbilt, like top end of the SEC versus bottom end of the SEC. No comparison there, right? So then we go to the pros. It's like the top 1% of the college athletes. So you can't even make that comparison, especially with Alabama too. I mean, you look what Alabama did against the U in the opener. It's just they're so much better than everyone.
I don't want our Alabama lady commenter to think that we were just hating on her this whole time.
No, we love Just a Lady in Alabama. We love it. I know, Mac. Maybe I just can't wait until Mac shuts the critics up. See, yeah, he gets a lot of hate. I think Mac has gotten a lot of hate, and we don't give him hate on this show. I think we love Mac Jones.
No.
But the bottom line with Mac is I think he is shutting up the critics right now as we speak.
I think it's pretty easy to figure out why people don't really love Mac Jones. One, it's the Patriots, so we aren't like the most beloved team in the NFL at all. People probably want us to just stay bad for a while, but in terms of just being Mac, no matter how much you love Mac Jones, you have to admit he is on paper the most boring first-round quarterback of the group that was drafted. He doesn't have any of this. Like Trevor Lawrence came in as the golden boy. He's the Andrew Luck equivalent. He's all this. Zach Wilson, next Mahomes, air quotes. Justin Fields, electric athlete who also plays quarterback. Trey Lance is like an experiment from Division 1A. College football. Oh my God, he's such an incredible runner. He's in the Shanahan system. This is what they wanted. Mac Jones he's a guy who does what he needs to do and fits the Patriots offense in the best way possible. But the Patriots offense has never been the most sexy thing that's ever graced the NFL. So I think that's why he gets a lot of hate. And if he wins all the time, it doesn't matter. It actually would be a good thing if he gets hate then, because it means that we're doing well.
Yeah, definitely. And he's getting hate, but like you say, he's silencing the critics a little bit. Hasn't thrown an interception yet. Put the Patriots in position to win this weekend. It was fun to watch. Y'all are the Alabama of the NFL. See, I wouldn't say that right now. We were the Alabama of the NFL. We're trying to not be. We're trying to get back to that point. I mean, we're not the Alabama of the NFL by any means.
I'd say like in terms of dynasty we are, but roster-wise, it's pretty actually polar opposite. It's not like the Patriots are touting out all these Hall of Famers. Or like I'm comparing, like I'm going to make the comparison that Hall of Famers in the NFL are like the equivalent of like first round talent.
Yeah.
And what?
Keep going. Go with it.
The Hall of Famers are like the equivalent of first round talent. The Patriots do like a lot with just players doing their specific role. They don't have a lot of stars that can cover like all these holes in the offense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, we are dynasty wise, but again, we're not talking about dynasty. We're talking about winning football games this year. And right now, Corey, we're 0-1. So it's not good. Not good stuff. But
I don't think sky is falling here. I thought that it's like let's like also remember that even the best Patriots teams have lost week ones. Mm-hmm. Like I remember vividly when we lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl the following year, we played the Chiefs and they blew off our brakes and Kareem Hunt like stomped all over our dreams. And the sky was falling. There was that Trent Dilfer saying we're not good anymore after being like 2-2 to start with the famous on to Cincinnati stuff. Yeah. Also, we both agreed that this is like we kind of won this game. I've never walked away from a loss being more content because I went in just hoping that the offense would look good, and it did look good. The defense looked pretty good. I'd say I think we're going to probably talk about defense in a minute or so, but overall, I was pretty happy with this loss because I think going into the Jets, I'm expecting a steamrolling. No surprise.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I was content with it, but it's hard to be content with a loss when you're in a position to win the football game. And that's what bothers me so much about it. But anyways, yeah, the offense looked good. I think that was what we wanted to see. We wanted to see Mac Jones look good, command the offense, and he did that. The defense, the defense is pretty damn good. When you look at the stats here, 4 of 11, Miami on third down. Right there, that's a win. They only gave up 259 yards, dominated the time possession. They weren't on the field much. They took the ball away once. That's pretty good. I mean, I put this loss on the offense, honestly, because that's what it comes down to.
I mean, ironically, Matthew Judon was probably our best linebacker that game, but he also cost us with that 15-yard penalty off of he just randomly got into a scuffle on the sideline. Because they cut back from break, and the cameraman does that thing where he doesn't even know what's happening. Then you see it suddenly just shift down. You see Judon and I think Bentley were in the Dolphins bench, just almost scrapping with the Dolphins. I'm like, what happened? Yeah. And that's a very of Judon. Obviously has Bill's respect, but I feel like at some point I just don't want our best defenders being the ones that bite us in the ass halfway through the game. I feel like Judon kind of did that. Overall, the defense did look great. We got a lot of pass rush on Tua there, but the Dolphins have an awful offensive line, so I don't really know what I can take away from that, and I'm not going to learn much more from the Jets, who just lost their best tackle, Mekhi Becton, for a few weeks. So overall, I think our best test is unfortunately going to actually, no, it could probably come in week 3 versus the Saints because they look pretty good against the Packers as well.
Jameis. How did Jameis win that game?
I think, well, when you look at it, he threw 5 touchdowns, but he threw it on 20 attempts, or he completed only 20 of his passes. I think the Saints are just doing kind of what the Patriots are going to do with Mac, where they're going to basically try to run it and take out the clock and rely on their defense. And Jameis just gets to reap the benefits of having good field position because they just want to take Jameis Winston and restrict him to making as little Jameis Winston type plays as possible. And that's what I kind of noticed from that game. They were never having him do anything that risky outside of one throw, which he did throw a pick that was egregious, but it was called back because of a penalty on the defense. But overall, I think that game is going to be a huge see where we're at game because that's going to be the best defense Mac probably plays before Tampa.
Yeah,
it definitely will be because they play Tampa the next week. But
yeah, in that game too, with James, we don't have to talk about it much here, but Aaron Rodgers looked terrible. He never got into a rhythm. He's throwing balls up. The one pick he threw, the 50-yard bomb that was almost like a punt, he just threw it up to no one. So that was something I noticed there. All right, another comment. Just a lady in Alabama is dominating the show tonight, by the way. I was still to rec
our third host, thank you.
I was still to rec watching the Patriots versus Dolphins. I was trying to cheer for all the Bama players. Well, you have that problem in a lot of games. There's a lot you can watch and just
I'm a fan of all 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, you can be a fan of everyone if you like Alabama. So, defense was good. We talked about Judon with the penalty. The bottom line there is Bill Belichick's going to clean that up. He's going to clean all these mistakes up, and I think they're going to come out and steamroll the Jets.
The one issue that I think is really going to paralyze this Patriots team, which is only going to come to be more of an issue in the following weeks after the Jets, is that the absence of Stephon Gilmore was massive. Devontae Parker ran the same slant like 6 times, and Jawan James and Mills were just destroyed on that same route. I felt like I was watching like some kid you play in Madden online who decides he's going to run the same play over and over and over until you finally find a defensive scheme that beats it.
Yeah.
And that was the only throw that Tua made with like consistency the whole day. Tua also, side note, did not look great. I think a lot of people are being like, he didn't look bad. He was supposed to be a lot better. He kind of looked like last year for Tua was like a D for his whole season. I'd give him in that game like a C minus because he almost cost him with that terrible interception, also caused by Judon, who like destroyed his rib cage as he delivered that interception or sack.
Yeah, definitely. Now, since we got the Alabama fans in the house here, when we look at this, when I look at Mac Jones, I look at Tua, and I look at
Hurts.
I look at Jalen Hurts. I'm most excited about Mac Jones as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I think Hurts, if I had to power rank them in terms of like what their careers are going to be, it would probably be two. I think I'm going to say Hurts is probably the bottom. I think Tua is probably second, and then Mac's probably first because Mac's like the safest option. I think Hurts has the highest ceiling because he has that dual threat capability, but I think he has the worst arm of the three in terms of like just being accurate. He's always had reading issues, like where he tries, like once he get past his first read, he kind of gets a little lost. I think Tua does the same thing. I feel like Tua and Hurts to me are kind of equal, but I think Tua is a more disciplined passer, and I think Hurts is more of like a big play type quarterback. But Mac, like I said, lowest ceiling, highest floor is what I would think for Mac. He's just not explosive, and I feel like comparing him to two quarterbacks that are just so athletic is tough. But Tua's not the athlete that Hurts is. Hurts is the best athlete by a mile.
Yeah, and I mean, also the Eagles just beat the Falcons too, so we got to factor that into the equation. The Falcons are not very good at football.
I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles turn into one of these teams that is 1-0 to start, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, here come the Eagles! Didn't see this coming," and then they turn into like 7-10 team. I had to readjust the record in my head again. So used to the 16.
Well, that's just how Philadelphia fans are in general. It's like you win one game, it's like, all right, Philly, like the Eagles are the best team in football after beating the Falcons. Like people just blow that stuff out of proportion.
Hurts was the worst quarterback that they had going into this season. They're like, oh God, I can't believe we have to bring Hurts out there. No one likes him. And now I just saw on like Instagram an hour ago, Jalen Hurts is the second best selling jersey in the NFL right now. His sales went up 500%.
Yeah, because Philly fans are freaking whack jobs, Corey. Like that's what it comes down to. They're insane. And you see it in baseball too. Like the Phillies are 4.5 games back in the division. They're 2.5 games back in the wild card. They have a chance of getting in, but like Philly fans, they just go nuts. Like they go nuts over the smallest things in the world. Like we win one inning of a baseball game and like fightins. It's all about the fightins, Corey. Like that's how crazy these Philadelphia fans are. Anyways, this is a Patriots podcast. One thing I do want to ask just a lady out of Alabama, or just a lady in Alabama, is which quarterback do you think is the best from your perspective, watching all three of them at Alabama? All right, Corey. Pats -5.5 versus the Jets. If we do not steamroll this team and cover 5.5, I'm going to be very upset.
I think because it's divisional, I'm going to reel back what I said about steamrolling, but I think the Patriots should at least win this game by like 10 points. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like the Jets are getting depleted by the second. I wouldn't be surprised if an injury report came out that like Corey Davis pulled his like hamstring and going to be out for the week, because this team is falling like a domino effect, one after one by the other. They're losing all their best defenders. They just lost Becton, like I said. I mean, Zach Wilson, from what I saw, he looked okay. I mean, that game was kind of just a shit show. Like, it's not like the Panthers looked that great either. You were kind of hoping Darnold would come out, be like, yeah, Darnold, revenge game against the Jets, watch him torch him up. He looked okay. I mean, it was the Christian McCaffrey show, which is what what you would expect. Yeah. Going into this game, though, I would think the Patriots defense will ravage Zach Wilson. Bill Belichick loves feasting on rookie quarterbacks. This is what he does. As long as the inverse doesn't happen with Saleh on Mac Jones, I think we'll be okay, because this defense was already not great for the Jets. And with all these injuries, it's just only that much worse. Yeah,
so we look at their injury report. LaMarcus Joyner is on the injured reserve list. Their punter, Braden Mann is on the injured reserve list. Mekhi Becton, OT, injured reserve. That's going to hurt them, like you said, with us getting after the quarterback. Blake Cashman, injured reserve. LaMichael Perine, questionable at running back. Keelan Cole, questionable. Now, when I look at questionable, I mean, I think that these dudes are going to play on Sunday.
P. Ryan and Cole play, that doesn't do jack shit for the Jets. They're like, Cole's like their fourth wide receiver, and P. Ryan, that Jets running back room's a mess. Yeah. It's like the committee of San Francisco without any of the production. It's like Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, Michael Carter, and now P. Ryan. Dear Lord. Good God.
Jamie and Sherwood out. Jamison Crowder out. Sherrod Niesman out, injured reserve. Okay, and then that's the latest. So they got a lot of dudes out. They're gonna have trouble. We gotta cover. If we don't cover -5.5, I don't know what to say.
I would say if this game is like remotely like you walk away from this game being like the Patriots squeezed out of this one, alarms should be flying in your head. Because this is what kind of I felt like after the Patriots played the Jets on Thursday night. Was it Thursday night? No, Monday Night Football last year, where the Jets were just an absolute dumpster fire. They were like 0-11. We almost gave them their first win of the year. And if that happened, I would have probably taken my Cam Newton jersey outside and just gave it to the first person that walked by. But if we remotely look like we're going to lose this game, this season might as well just be like, all right, rebuilding year continues. We need to like just stomp on them and walk away.
Yeah, definitely. On the road, too, in New York. I mean, not that MetLife – I don't think MetLife's that hostile of an environment by any means for the Jets.
It's more depressed.
Yeah. For the Giants, it'll be like – kind of be hostile for a little bit, and then it's like not usually.
It's only hostile for the team that's like the home team in that game. I never feel like MetLife gives – like fans are like, oh, man. No players are like, man, the MetLife fans, they get us. It's always just like, hey, fuck you. Yeah. Insert player of that team.
Yeah, and I've seen the Patriots play at MetLife twice, and like it's just such a relaxed environment. Like Patriot fans, like they're like friendly, the Patriots fans. So that like when you're in a big market like New York, and that's the case, they're so depressed, they just don't know what to say. So hopefully we make them more depressed this weekend and we whoop their ass, but we will see.
I would hope so. I mean, I would hate for the Jets fans to kind of, if they're treating this like a social gathering, it would be a little depressing. If we just walk away with a loss or like a 3-point win, I would just go into a coma.
Yeah, the last thing you want if you're a Patriots fan walking on MetLife this weekend is for a Jets fan to come up to you and say, "Hey, nice effort, guys, nice effort."
Mac looks really good.
Yeah, Mac looks good. You guys, it's good to win. I think Zach Wilson looked a little better though. That's the last thing we want to hear this weekend. Go in there, take care of business, play pissed off football. Last weekend, you freaking sucked. You turned the ball over. You committed penalties. Go in this weekend. Leave no doubt you're the best team at the bottom of the AFC East. Go get a win against New York Jets. That's what I think.
That's what I would say too. I mean, there's not much more to say. If it's like it shouldn't be an interesting game to talk about at all. Like I was hoping we'd go into a nice easy 2-0 start and then play like the better teams. Kind of use these as like preseason games, but not really. Like take the training wheels off to go back to Our Lady in Alabama with her statement. But if this is what it takes for this team to wake up and start clicking, then we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, confidence breeds success. Success breeds winning. That's what we need this weekend at MetLife Stadium. All right, Corey, man, that was Ring Chasers number 6. Good show tonight. What do you think? Final thoughts?
I'm going to say that the Patriots go into this game, and I'm going to say the score is going to be 27-17.
I like that. Okay. I think I'm going to go 31-17. 31.
I'm also going to say to just not to put salt in the wound for you, but I think we're going to see a lot more of J.J. Taylor than Ramondre Stevenson next game. I wouldn't be surprised if Ramondre is a healthy scratch.
That's fine. You know what? He's got a long time there, Corey. That rookie deal, I think the rookie deals are like 3-4 years. So he'll be good.
No, I'm just like, I know Bill likes to put people in the dog pound once that ball touches the ground. And I mean, we did clear out Sony Michel, I feel like, for Ramondre, but J.J. Taylor is not a person that I feel like Bill's going to just leave. He was the healthy scratch this week, so I could completely see it flipping for this upcoming game.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. You don't take care of the football, though. That's what you get. You work hard in practice, though. You get back out there. He'll be there. Ramondre's going to be tearing it up by the middle to end of the season. He's going to be one of our feature backs.
I would hope so. He looked great in the preseason. I only hope it continues.
Yeah, but you know what, too, in the preseason, he was just having these breakaway runs. So it's like didn't have any, it's you're going 98.
He's not used to contact.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to not fumble the football when you're just going 90 yards to the house on a pitch. Like when you actually got to get in there and run the football, a little more tough against good competition. So he figured that out. He'll get back to it, though. Ramondre will be back. Don't worry about that. That's your final thoughts?
Yep. Go
right.
Pats.
Go Pats. Go Pats. Hey, we've been signing the shows off like Cam Newton now. So one thumb, what is it? One thumb, one pinky, one finger he goes?
Yep. All love.
All love. That was Ring Chasers number 6. We'll see you next week for another episode. Go Pats.